Assalamu alaikum, A7324. Can you recite the starting prayers for everyone?
I don't want to do it, and I next kind of saw.
Okay, shall I give you another ID then?
Yes.
N8329.
N8329.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Can you please recite the starting prayers for everyone?
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربي إني لما أنزلت إلي من خير فقير
Min khairin.
من خير فقير. My Lord, I am in need of whatever good thou mayest send down to me. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم. Our Lord, accept this from us, for you are all hearing, all knowing.
Jazakillah. N8329.
Jazakallah.
So, can I now request the TA to go over the class etiquettes?
To class etiquettes. Before the lesson, please perform wudu. Ensure you cover your head. Please have revised your lesson. Sit with an adult in a quiet room with your audio off and your video off. Please ensure that there's no background noise. Log in with your correct ID. During lesson, listen attentively to class. Recite verses alongside online recitation. Do not raise your hand unless the main teacher has requested you to do so. After the lesson, please revise the lesson, complete the assigned homework. And if there are any queries or any other issues, you can contact us via info@nqc.org.uk, and we'll try and get back to you as soon as possible. Please be reminded that these classes offer additional support to learning. They are not a replacement for one-to-one learning at home.
Jazakillah. So, those of you who came early, you would know that today is another revision lesson. And today we will be revising Surah Al-Inshirah. So, first I'm going to recite the entire surah, and then we will have some students to recite some verses from the same surah. And then we will start listening to the hifz. Before I start reciting, I would like to request all the students to please recite after me. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك ورفعنا لك ذكرك فإن مع العسر يسرا إن مع العسر يسرا فإذا فرغت فانصب وإلى ربك فارغب. All right, Jazakumullah. I hope that everyone was reciting along with me. Now I would like to request the ST to give me an ID to go over this surah.
Okay. A7333.
A7333. Assalamu alaikum.
No, can we try A7334?
Yes, sure.
Assalamu
A7334. Assalamu alaikum.
alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. So, can you recite up to verse 5 of this surah? Start with Tawus.
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك
Zahrak.
الذي أنقض ظهرك
أنقذ ظهرك.
أنقض ظهرك.
Okay, you keep A7334. You keep joining these two words, but recite them separately, okay? أنقذ ظهرك. Can you say it like that?
أنقض ظهرك.
Okay, that was much better.
ورفعنا لك ذكرك.
Okay, Jazakallah. So, first of all, in the very first verse, we have the letter Ra with the Fatha stroke. Make sure you make a thick sound for that, okay? Nashrah. And the same goes for the letter Ha, okay?
Okay.
So, can you recite this verse again?
Okay. ألم نشرح لك صدرك.
Rock. Okay. In third verse, do you know what rule you have to apply here? Okay, so we have Noon, Sakin, and which is followed by the letter Qaf. So in this case, we have to conceal the sound of Noon. Okay?
Okay.
Do you know how to do that?
Would it be
Yeah, with a slight nasal sound. Not too much, okay? So can you recite this verse again?
Okay. ووضعنا عنك وزرك.
Okay, that was much better. In fourth verse, الذي make sure to prolong it for a minimum of 3 seconds. But also this letter here, zal, it has a vibrating sound, okay? Which is
Okay.
different from the letter za, okay?
Okay.
All right, and one more mistake in the same verse, noon sakin. I just mentioned what you have to do here. Can you tell me what you have to do here?
You have to would you have to make the noise of like
Conceal,
yeah.
conceal the sound of noon. Anqadha, okay? And again, the letter zal, make sure there is a vibrating sound, okay?
Okay.
All right, can we have another student for the last few verses?
Okay, we can try N8334.
N8334, Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Can you recite from verse 6 onwards for everyone?
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. فإن مع العسر يسرا. إن مع العسر يسرا. فإذا فرغت فانصب. وإلى ربك فارغب.
Okay. Jazakillah. N8334. So
Jazakallah.
I'm going to point out a few mistakes in terms of pronunciation. So first of all, in the last verse, the very last letter, ba, sakin, because it doesn't have any other strokes. Do you know what you have to do here?
Do you have to pause?
Okay, you have to pause because it's the end of the verse, but you also have to make a jerking sound on the letter ba, okay? Because it's one of the letters of qalqala, right? Do you know what you have to do for that?
We have to make a jerking sound.
Do you know how to do that?
وإلى ربك فارغب.
Yeah, ghab. Okay. And as I mentioned to the previous students, this ra with the fatha stroke, this is also going to have a thick sound. Okay. So can you recite this verse again and make sure to apply both rules this time?
وإلى ربك فارغب.
Okay. Jazakallah, that was much better. In verse 8, again, we have noon sakin. And I mentioned this to the previous student twice. Do you know what rule you have to apply here? Okay, so you have to conceal the sound of noon. Okay?
Okay.
And I think you know how to do that because previous student did it as well. So
Okay.
slight nasal sound, fon sob.
Okay.
So can you recite this verse again?
فإذا فرغت فانصب.
Yeah, fon sob. Again, on ba we have to do qalqala.
Okay.
Okay. In verse 6 and verse 7, we have the letter noon with the shad sign. So you have to do gunna here. You did it, but you have to stress on the letter noon as well for 2 seconds, okay? because of the shad. So فَإِنَّ. Okay,
Okay.
can you recite verse 7 again?
Okay. إن مع العسر يسرا.
Okay, well done. You pronounce the sound of letter Ain really well, so well done for that. I think that's pretty much it. Jazakillah. N8334.
Jazakallah.
Okay.
We are
Next student.
we are now going to move on towards the hifz,
Okay.
and I'm going to start the breakout room as well. But before that, I just want to make some announcements. So first of all, inshallah, the final test, the fourth exam, will take place next week on Tuesday, the 10th of December. So I would like to request all the students to attend the class and also make your best efforts to memorize as much as possible before that. And another announcement is that next week on Friday, the 13th of December, is going to be our last class of this course, so our concluding session. And for that, you have to log in with the different ID and password. It's on the screen, so I would like to request all the students to make a note of this ID and password. Otherwise, if you don't log in with this ID and password, you won't be able to join in the concluding session. So I hope that everyone has wrote it down. I will also announce this at the end of the class as well. So if any of you haven't already noted these down, then you can do it later. So now I'm going to start the breakout room. And again, I would like to request all the students to please accept the invitation if you receive one and join the breakout room. And do not leave the breakout room until you are requested by the teacher. Okay, now we can have the next ID.
Okay. We can have A7347.
A7347. A7347. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. So A7347 is going to recite. Okay, just give me a moment. A7347.
Yes.
So previously you have memorized and recited up to Surah. Okay, up to Surah 3, verse 3. Have you memorized the next few verses?
Yes, I've memorized the rest of the surah.
Okay, so you have completed the entire Surah.
Yes.
Okay, well done. So you can start reciting. Start with the verse.
Should I start from the beginning?
Yeah, start from the beginning.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والتين والزيتون والطور سينين وهذا البلد الأمين لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم ثم رددناه
أسفل.
أسفل سافلين
إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فلهم أجر غير ممنون فما يكذبك بعد بالدين أليس له أحكم الحاكمين
بأحكم الحاكمين.
أليس له بأحكم الحاكمين.
Okay. Jazakallah is 7347. So, first of all, well done for memorizing the entire surah. In terms of pronunciation, I will highlight a few mistakes. So, first of all, in terms of memorization, it was all good, except in the last verse, you forgot that there is this letter ba here with the kasra stroke.
Yes.
So, bi'ahkamil hakimin. Okay?
Yes.
And also at the end of this surah, we should say this Arabic phrase, Bala wa ana ala dhalika min ash-shahidin, because Prophet ﷺ and his companions, they used to express their feelings upon hearing or reading certain verses of the Quran with specific Arabic phrases, and this is one of them. So it's a good habit to say the Arabic phrases.
Yes.
In terms of pronunciation, here in last verse, alaysallahu on lam, we have the shad stroke, this little w, which means we have to stress on the letter lam, okay? And it sounds as if there are two lam letters here, alaysallahu, okay? But I couldn't hear that when you were reciting. Okay, can you recite the last verse again?
أليس الله بأحكم الحاكمين.
Okay, Jazakallah. In verse 8, here we have meme with the fatha stroke followed by alif of elongation. So make sure that you prolong this for a minimum of 2 seconds. Okay, yours was a little bit short. Okay,
Yes.
so can you recite this verse again as well?
فأما
Wait,
يكذب
Fama, not amma.
فما يكذبك بعد بالدين.
Yukazibuka ba'du biddin. Okay. In verse 7 and also throughout the surah as well. Okay, I'll highlight all the places where you have to apply that rule, and you can tell me if you know what you have to do. There's something common between all these 5 letters which I have highlighted. Can you see a common stroke on all of these?
Yes.
All of these have vertical fatha, right?
Yes.
And do you know what you have to do if there's a vertical fatha?
You prolong it
For how long?
2 seconds.
Yes. So make sure that you recite slowly and prolong it for a minimum of 2 seconds, okay?
Okay.
So can you recite verse 7 again and make sure you have to prolong it? It comes in 3 places, right?
Yes.
Okay.
إلى الذين عملوا الصالحات.
Okay. It's illallazina.
إلا الذين
continue.
آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات
Yes.
فلهم أجر غير ممنون.
Okay. First of all, well done. You did qalqala on Jim, sakin here. Ajrun. So well done. And you also prolonged these. So keep practicing and inshallah it will get better. In verse 6, here we have meme, mushaddad. Do you know what you have to do here?
Do you have to prolong it?
So because of the shad on meme, you have to stress on the letter meme. So thumma, okay? And you also have to make nasal sound in those 2 seconds. As you're while you are stressing on the letter meme, you also have to make nasal sound, okay? Thumma. Can you hear it?
Yes.
Okay. Can you please recite verse 6 again?
ثم رددناه
Yes.
أسفل سافلين.
Okay, well done. That was much better. You also did qalqala on dal here, right? Radadnahu. So well done for that as well. When you were reciting it originally off by heart, I couldn't hear some of these rules properly. So make sure that when you revise, you have a copy of the Quran or the surah in front of you and look carefully at each letter and think about what rule you have to apply, okay?
Yes.
So you also have to apply qalqala on this dal here and this qaf, okay? So can you recite verse 5 and make sure that you apply the qalqala?
لقد خلقنا الإنسان فلا
Fi.
في أحسن تقويم.
Okay, well done. And just like I mentioned to the previous students, here, noon sakin followed by the letter sin, we have to conceal the sound of noon here. Do you know how to do that? So, son, it's not, the sound of noon is not clear, right?
Yes.
That's how it is supposed to be here, okay? So, lastly, in verse 4, again, make sure that you prolong this for a minimum of 2 seconds, okay?
Yes.
All right, Jazakallah is 7347.
Jazakallah.
Have you also memorized the last surah of the syllabus? Surah Al-Qadr?
I'm going to memorize that.
Okay, that's fine. Once again, well done and Jazakallah.
Jazakallah.
Can we have the next student?
Okay, next student is going to be N8348. And she memorized Surah Al-Ala, verse 11, up to verse 11, and Surah Al-Ghashiyah up to verse 7.
Okay.
N8348.
And 8348, Assalamu alaikum.
Hello.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
So previously, you have memorized and recited up to verse 11 of Surah Al-Ala. Have you memorized the next few verses?
I've memorized up to verse 13, but I might be I don't think I know it that well because I just memorized it fresh.
Okay, that's fine. So you can start. I'll tell you for which verse to start from. So if you can start from verse 9, it's on the screen,
Okay.
and go all the way up to verse 13, okay?
Okay.
Let
Should I
me,
start?
yes.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Should I stop from وَنُيَسِّرُكَ?
Yes.
Okay. وَنُيَسِّرُكَ لِلْيُسْرَى فَذَكِّرْ إِن نَّفَعَتِ الذِّكْرَى سيذكر من يخشى ويتجنبها
ويتجنبها
الأشقى الذي يصلى النار الكبرى.
Okay, that was up to verse 13. Jazakallah. And 8348. Let's go back. So first of all, well done for memorizing and trying to memorize some of the new verses. In terms of memorization, you just need to revise so that you become more fluent.
Okay.
Apart from that, it was fine. And in terms of pronunciation, I will point out a few mistakes. So in verse 9, okay. Okay, I'll just say it. In verse 9, we have the letter Ra with the Dhamma stroke and with the vertical Fatha. So whenever it has a Fatha or Dhamma stroke, it has a thick sound, okay?
Okay.
So وَنُيَسِّرُكَ لِلْيُسْرَى, okay?
Okay.
And in verse 10, as well as verse 12, okay. So can you tell me there's something common in all these three letters which I have highlighted? Can you tell me what do you think? What can you see? Something common?
You have to join all of them.
No. Okay, so you can see that in all these three letters, they are known, the letter known, and they are carrying a shad stroke. Okay?
Okay.
So we have to stress on the letter known, and we also have to make nasal sound. Okay?
Okay.
So you have to apply the rule of ghunna here. So can you recite verse 10 again?
Okay. فذكر إن نفعت الذكرى.
Okay. Okay, that was much better. Can you also recite verse 11?
ويتجنبها الأشقى.
Okay. Verse 11 is this one. You just recited verse 12.
Oh, okay.
Here.
سيذكر من يخشى.
Okay, so again, on the letter zal, make sure you stress, and it will sound like there are two letter zal. Sayazakkaru.
سيذكر.
Okay. Continue.
سيذكر من يخشى.
Okay, well done. That was much better. So try to memorize the next few verses as well, okay?
Okay.
And
Auntie, can I say something?
yes.
I've also memorized Surah Deen.
Okay. All right. That's really good. So you can start reciting. Start with Tawuz.
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والتين وزيتون وطور سينين وهذا البلد الأمين لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم ثم رددناه أسفل سافلين رددناه أسفل سافلين إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فلهم أجر غير ممنون فما يكذبك بعد بالدين أليس الله بأحكم الحاكمين.
Okay. Jazakallah. I need 348. Let's go back to the surah. Okay, first of all, well done for memorizing the entire surah. In terms of memorization, there were a few mistakes as well. So I corrected you on the spot as well. First of all, in verse 7, we have ajrun ghayru. Okay? On ra, on the letter ra, we don't have the tanween of tamma. On letter ra, we do here in the first place, but in the second place, we don't. So make sure that you're not confused about that, because I heard the sound of noon in both words, okay?
Okay.
And in the last verse, do you know why I have highlighted this word?
Because of the Allah rule.
Yeah, so you have to make a thick sound for this Allah, okay? The lam in the word Allah. Alaysallahu bi ahkamil hakimin. Okay?
Okay.
Also in verse 7. Okay, not in verse 7, in verse 6. First of all, make sure that you recite slowly so that you can pronounce each and every letter correctly, okay?
Okay.
So in verse 6, I've mentioned this to the previous students as well. Thumma, you have to stress on the letter meme for 2 seconds, and you also have to make nasal sound, okay?
Okay.
Okay, in verse 5, so we revised the surah today, and I mentioned this, the rule you have to apply here. I mentioned it to the students in the beginning. Do you know what rule you have to apply here?
Do I have to stress on it?
Okay, not stress. You have to conceal the sound of noon. Okay?
Okay.
Do you know how to do that?
لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم.
Okay, well done. That was very good. You know how to conceal the sound of noon, but make sure, as I said, recite slowly. Here on the letter Ya, we have Madde Saghir. Do you know how long you have to prolong that for?
2 to 3 seconds.
So a minimum of 3 seconds. So make sure you will only be able to do it if you recite slowly. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, and lastly, in the second verse, here on the letter Za, you have to stress on the letter Za and make a double sound. So was zaytun, because of the shad stroke, okay?
Okay.
This sign, we have to stress on this letter. So can you recite this verse again?
والتين والزيتون.
Okay, well done. That was much better. So, Jazakillah.
Jazakallah.
348. Try to finish your Surah Al-Ala and Surah Al-Ghashiyah as well. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Can we have the next student?
Yes, we can have A7338. And he memorized Surat Al-Ghashiyah, verse up to 5.
Okay. A7338.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Have you memorized the next few verses of Surah Al-Ghashiyah? From verse 5 onwards?
I think I've done one more verse.
Okay. You can start from the beginning. Start with Tawbas.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم هل أتاك حديث الغاشية وجوه يومئذ غاشية
Khashiyah.
غاشية وجوه يومئذ ناصبة.
Okay. You have joined two verses together. Let me go back to the surah. So you said the first part of the third verse, and then you said that. So you skipped all of that. So what I have highlighted, that's what you recited, okay? So keep revising and then recite so that you don't get confused, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Now that you've had a look at the screen, would you be able to recite off by heart?
Yes.
All right, start from the beginning.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
هل أتاك
هل أتاك حديث الغاشية وجوه يومئذ خاشية عاملة ناصبة تصلى نارا حامية تسقى من عين آنية ليس لهم طعام إلا من ضريع لا يسمن ولا يغني من جوع.
Okay. Is that all?
Yes.
Okay. So you need a little bit more practice. So keep revising and practice with the correct pronunciation as well. So that way you'll become more fluent. First of all, in terms of memorization, here you have you got confused in the third verse. The first time you recited, you said Ghashiyah here as well. So I've mentioned this before as well to some of the students. The first time we have the letter Ghain. Second time we have the letter Kha. Okay? So make sure to not get confused between those two letters and swap them around or repeat. Okay? Because that will change the meaning, right?
Yes.
Okay. After that, in terms of pronunciation, in verse 7 and verse 8, so in verse 7 and verse 8, you made a similar mistake. I've mentioned this to the previous students as well. You have to apply a rule here. In today's lesson, I have mentioned it over and over again. So let's see if you were hearing carefully. Can you tell me what you have to do here?
You have to
Noon sakin.
like make a nasal sound.
No, not nasal sound. Nasal sound is only when we have, okay, here. So it's only when we have on top of noon, we have shad. And but on noon sakin, I've mentioned this before, if it's followed by the letter, in this case, it's followed by the letter tod, we'd have to conceal the sound of noon. Okay? So for that, you have to make a slight nasal sound. Illa mi'dari. So the sound of noon is not clear. Okay?
Okay.
So can you recite verse 7 again?
ليس لهم طعام إلا من ضريع
Mi'zari.
من ضريع.
Okay. That was much better. So keep practicing and it should get better. Also, in verse 5, here you joined the tasla and naran. So you said taslanna. Okay? So first of all, on top of noon, we don't have a shad. So we don't have to join the previous word with this one. We have to recite them as two separate words, okay? Tasla naran hamiyah. Can you recite this verse again?
تصلى نارا حامية
Naran.
نارا حامية.
Okay, that was much better. In verse 3, yeah, I corrected you on the spot as well, so just be careful. This is khashiyah and this one is ghashiyah. Okay? And okay. So this is, I mentioned before, this is where you have to make the nasal sound. Okay? So can you recite this verse again?
عاملات ناصبة.
Okay. Don't prolong the lam too much, okay? Amilatun nasibah. All right, A7338. Jazakallah. So make sure to revise this surah again and again so that you become more fluent, okay? And have a copy of the surah in front of you and look at each word and letter carefully, okay? Jazakallah. Can we have the next student?
Yes, we can have N8311.
N8311.
And she has memorized Surah Al-Inshirah up to verse 9.
Okay. N8311. Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah. Walaikum assalam.
So previously, you have memorized and recited up to you have memorized all the surahs except Surah Al-Inshirah and Surah Al-Qadr and Surah Teen. So have you started memorizing any of these surahs?
I've done all three of them.
Okay, that's very good. Let's start with Surah Al-Inshirah, okay?
I recited them in breakout room yesterday.
Okay. All three of them?
I recited them, but the breakout room teacher said I had to do Surah Qadr properly because I didn't really pronounce it properly.
Okay. Let's start with Surah Al-Qadr and then we'll go to the previous surahs, okay?
Okay.
Start with Tawbas.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا أنزلنا في ليلة القدر.
Okay. Any 311? Can you recite it again? Start from Inna.
إنا أنزلناه في ليلة القدر
Okay.
وما أدراك ما ليلة القدر ليلة القدر خير من ألف شهر تنزل الملائكة والروح فيها بإذن ربهم من كل أمر سلام هي حتى مطلع الفجر.
Okay. Any 311? Jazakillah. So let's go to the surah. Okay. So first of all, well done for memorizing the entire surah. In terms of pronunciation, I will highlight a few mistakes. If you can. Okay, it's really noisy. I'm not sure where it's coming from.
Just a second.
Okay, so I will highlight a few mistakes and then if you can make a note of them and practice them so that next time when you recite, your pronunciation is better. So first of all, in verse 5, you started getting confused and you forgot the word fiha as well. So for that, you just need to revise the surah again and again, and then you'll become more fluent and hopefully you will not forget anything. In terms of pronunciation, in verse 4, on top of the letter ha, we don't have a fatha stroke. It's a very common mistake, so a lot of students say shahr, but make sure that it's pronounced shahr correctly, okay? In the very first verse, so as I mentioned to the previous students as well, there are certain places, certain letters, if they are followed by nun sakin, then we have to conceal the sound of nun sakin. Conceal the sound of nun. So, anzalna, the sound of nun will not be clear in this case. Can we unmute N8 311 again? So,
Hello?
yes. So, as you've heard, the rules and the points that I have mentioned, I would like to ask you to recite verse 4 again.
Laylatul Qadri khayr min alfi shahr.
Okay, that was much better. So, as I said, this is not shahr, shahr, okay?
Okay.
And also, your pronunciation was better, much better from last time. I would like you to learn one more rule. So, these places which I have highlighted, you have to perform qalqala. Do you know what that is?
I'm not really sure.
Okay, I mentioned this to the previous students as well. You have to make a jerking sound. Okay, so
Okay.
salamun hiya hatta matla'il fajr. Okay, matla'il fajr. Okay, so can you recite verse 3 again? You have to perform qalqla in these two places which I have highlighted. So can you recite it and make sure to perform the rule as well? And 8311,
Yes.
can you recite verse 3 again?
وما أدراك ما ليلة القدر.
Okay, well done. I hope that you made a note of all these rules, and then when you practice, make sure to apply these rules, okay?
Okay.
All right, Jazakillah and 8311. So now we are going to move towards the conclusion of our class. Okay, so I'll just make sure that students have returned from the breakout room,
Okay.
and then okay, I think they have returned now. So the homework for today is chapter 94, Surah Al-Inshirah. All students try to memorize. If you have already memorized it, then keep revising. Also, now that we have completed our syllabus, you should also try to memorize. And if you have already memorized, then try to revise Surah Al-Fatiha, Surah Shams, Surah Duha, Surah Al-Inshirah, Surah Teen, and Surah Al-Qadr. And the fourth exam of this course will take place next week on Tuesday, the 10th of December. So I would like to request all the students to try and memorize as much as possible before you find the test. And also we have our session next week. It will be a combined session for both G1 and G2 students. I would like to request all the students to make note of this ID for the session.
Assalamu alaikum. The
Yes.
voice is breaking.
Okay. Is it clear?
Yes, it's better.
Okay. So next week on Friday, inshallah, we'll have our concluding session. So I would like to request all the students to make a note of this ID and password. Otherwise, you won't be able to join in the concluding session. Okay, and the concluding session will be from 7 o'clock to 7:45. And also, I will choose the student G2 for the concluding session. And the student will be selected on the basis of recitation, syllabus, and attendance record. So if you feel how your pronunciation is, if you have covered most of the syllabus, and your attendance record. So Jazakumullah. Can we have a student for the ending prayer?
Yes, we can have A7341.
A7341.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Can you please recite the ending prayer for everyone?
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم. Oh Allah, accept this effort and service from us. For you are the most hearing, the most knowing. Ameen.
Jazakallah 7341. So with this, we will end our today's class.
Jazakallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.